Someone, there is so much involved in getting what you mean across to that person you're with.
From the words to the gestures and even the feelings. We are checking in with psychologist Dr. Laura Saunders about the 4 primary principles of communication to make sure your message doesn't get lost in translation. Well, we are feeling very happy to have you here and talk about this today, Doc.
Hello, friends. Happy Thursday. Happy Scott Haney birthday.
Yay, thank you.
We are here to talk about communication, and there's 4 primary principles to communication that everyone really needs to know.
Okay, can we start with number 1?
The message sent is not necessarily the message received. All information and communication is filtered through a system of thoughts and feelings. I might even say it's filtered through, family history. It's filtered through the mood that you're in. It's filtered through all sorts of things. So the only way you can actually know that your message was received is to either ask someone to repeat it back or ask for feedback.
100%.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
You know, if you don't get an exclamation mark at the end of my text, something's wrong. You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying
that's
something's
your
wrong.
signature.
That's my signature.
Mm-hmm.
That's good to know. Right. That actually is another principle of communication, which is every message has content and feeling. So the content's based on the words, the feelings that's connected to the content is often expressed through nonverbal cues. And what happens in the whole world of email and text messages and all sorts of online messaging is that we lose that secondary content. So it's often hard, and that's why text messages and email messages are often misinterpreted, because we're missing the feeling behind the communication and the actual words.
And speaking of feelings, verbal communication is just one modality of communicating, right? I mean, there's a lot of other messages that are sent. You don't even have to speak or say anything.
So the nonverbal part of communication is actually equally, if not more important than the verbal part of communication. So when there is a discrepancy between like the content, the verbal part, and the feeling, the nonverbal, the person on the receiving end of the message often gets confused. And so what we call a mixed message, right? If your content is one thing, but your feeling or your emotion or your nonverbal cues are another, it really can send a mixed message.
I think we might have jumped a little out of line here, but can we go back to it is impossible to not communicate? Is that true as well?
It is impossible to not communicate. So even if someone doesn't respond or gives you the silent treatment or has long pauses in what, you say something or you ask a question and there's a very long pause, which looks like no communication, but that is also communication. So really all actions, both intentional and unintentional, communicate certain messages. And so trying to not communicate actually also sends a strong message. And this also comes through in a lot of texting or online messages. People, feel like they got ghosted because someone hasn't responded to them in a couple of hours. Meanwhile, like they could be busy and doing other things. But even not communicating is in fact a communication.
I have to be completely honest.
I have to be completely honest with you as well.
Oh my God.
Because I know what you're going to say. Go ahead.
When I don't respond to a message for hours, even a day sometimes, it's now because I am so busy with the kids, whereas before, and I know it's like you have your phone on you all the time, but sometimes you get so distracting. We're so inundated with messages and our phone and our duties and, whatever else is going on in our lives. But I used to take that to heart if a friend didn't get back to me right away. But there is like another side to it sometimes, right?
I still take it to heart. If somebody doesn't get back to me immediately, I'm like, oh my God, what have I done wrong?
Oh.
Right, and that's exactly it. So it's impossible to not communicate. It's both the content and the feeling, right? These are the different principles. And what we're showing is that, it's important that, and that gets into like over personalization, like why didn't they get back to me? Did I do something wrong? Are they mad at me? Right, and those are the cognitive distortions. We've done segments on that. But it really is being clear. And then sometimes in those situations, texting back saying, just checking in, making sure you got my message, because sometimes messages don't even go through. Yeah. So it's trying to be extra clear. It's asking for feedback. It's asking, I'm sorry. I think you're actually misinterpreting what I said. What did you hear me say, right? Asking for that feedback really can be such an important part of communication.
Well, 2 exclamation points to this conversation. Thank you so much, Doctor.
Thank you, Dr. Saunders.
And happy birthday with 3 exclamation points.
Yay! Thank you, Doc. So appreciate you. See you next week.
Thanks.
All right, fans sent the